Welcome to Socialcast, your go-to place to learn about marketing, the latest social media news, and insights. Brought to you by Social Bakers.
This next episode, we talk about holiday content. We go over Facebook's latest holiday marketing guide and the advice it gives to marketers on how to prepare for their campaigns. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us at the Social Bakers studio. I'm here with Daniele. And I'm Mantis. We're going to be streaming this live to multiple locations, Facebook, LinkedIn, and this is also going to be available as our podcast, the Socialcast. So wherever you're watching, welcome. We're really excited that you've joined. And today we're going to talk about holiday content because it's time.
Yes, it's September and it's time to talk about Christmas.
It seems early, but it's actually kind of late.
Yeah. It is for marketers. It is kind of late.
Yeah. Well, if you're preparing for the holiday season in the marketing department, or if you know that there's other teams that are really working hard on it now, so share this video with them. I think it will be really, really valuable. But let's maybe just dive into the topic.
So we're looking at Facebook's Christmas Insights report.
Yeah, so I think it was 2 weeks maybe ago it was released. I don't want to make a mistake, but it's really, it went pretty viral, this report. A lot of media sources covered it, and for a good reason. It's just extremely valuable. I went through it earlier. You said we already discussed a few points. And some of them are really revealing, and it really shows kind of what's working on the platform, what you should be doing. And it's not just Facebook, of course. It's Facebook and Instagram. So really useful.
So if you are looking for this report, you just type into Google Facebook Christmas Marketing Guide 2019, and lots of social media websites and marketing sites will have the link to it.
For sure, yeah. And during this broadcast, we encourage everyone to ask any related questions. Stop us, yell.
Give us your opinion about whether you agree with the report or not, if Facebook is being a bit biased or not, or if they're actually being right on point. Let us know.
Yeah, and we'd be really curious to know also what's going to be your strategy like this year. So
yes.
On a tactical level, are you doing something different this year that you didn't do before? What are you doing more of? It's we obviously have our insights, and we're preparing for the holiday campaign, so we're really interested to compare.
And speaking of comparing, it will be interesting for us to know, let us know, what you're going to be doing differently from last year, since so many things have happened in social media since a year ago. So what is going to change for your Christmas strategy from 2018 to now? Let us know.
Yeah. And also download the report, really. You already mentioned it, but we're going to try to be as detailed as we can in describing the charts and give you page numbers, and of course show the charts on the screen for those watching live in the live broadcast. So let's just dive in. Maybe one thing that's worth doing is actually talking about a few dates that Facebook highlights as being the critical ones for marketers to focus on, and how early you really should start focusing on them. Right?
Yes.
So it begins, and it's worthwhile really paying attention to this. So one thing, it starts with Halloween on the 31st of October. And then there's Singles Day, which is a sneaky one.
Yes, there is Singles Day, which is 11/11, the 11th of October, or November, sorry, which I'm not sure if it's a date for every country. I think this is very U.S. driven. I haven't heard of Singles Day in other parts of the world, but maybe it will catch on.
It's actually pretty big in Asia.
Is it?
And if you go to the very end of the report, there is a slide that shows whether these holidays are global or local to specific regions.
Good to
so
know.
Super useful. Good job, Facebook. Thank you. But yeah, Singles Day, I heard it's pretty big in Asia. So Singles Day, then we move into the whole Black Friday thing, and that is huge. Begins the 25th. It's when Facebook tells you start Black Friday campaigns, and that's where the Black Friday week begins, where you really ramp up your efforts. 28th, my favorite U.S. holiday, Thanksgiving.
Yes.
The 29th, obviously Black Friday follows, and that's where you start selling.
And what about Cyber Monday?
And then the 2nd, Cyber Monday, and that's the Black Week. That's where you
Oh, okay.
really capitalize a
Gotcha.
lot on people purchasing a lot and really people shopping around in general. So this is, if you're not ready by then, you missed this
You
year's.
missed out the train.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So basically, the report gives you everything you need to prepare for all of these dates. But a little bit further into December, these were kind of new to me. And probably because I don't work in maybe retail or e-commerce, but the 14th of December, the free shipping day.
Oh, I didn't know. So that's for the late people, right? For people who
Right, yeah.
forgot to buy the presents or are late
Not
shoppers.
just late people. I think actually when looking at the statistics in the report, so one interesting stat is that 96% of U.S. shoppers make their decisions whether there's free shipping or not, make their purchasing decisions. That's huge. And,
Yes.
and I imagine, yeah, especially if you're shopping for your whole extended family, the shipping costs do add up to a fair amount. So just to run through the schedule, 21st, Super Saturday. So that's the crazy weekend when people realize they got no presents still and they're rushing.
And they're desperate.
Yeah, that's sometimes me some years, definitely. And I think more and more we're seeing that people aren't rushing to actually the shops, but they're rushing to the shops, but their decisions where they're going are made a lot by what they've seen online at that point.
What's interesting about the free shipping day is that we wouldn't have had this 10 years ago.
Right.
This is as a result of the evolution of e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting of how all of these dates are piling up, October, November, December, and it seems like,
Yeah.
commercial dates we wouldn't have had before. So
Yeah. And maybe we can just put up the actual chart of
yes,
when...
what is the page number?
So the page number in the report is page 5, and it shows when actually people start shopping in general. What are the shopping trends? When can you start capitalizing on the holiday season?
Yes.
And I was surprised to see that it's actually, it begins before October. I haven't met the people who buy gifts before October. I'm sure they're out there. But it starts as early as that. So if you're just planning campaigns, know that at the same time you should already try to think, okay, what am I missing here? What conversion sort of driven campaigns can I run in parallel that maybe can collect some of these early shoppers?
Yes.
And it really kicks in around sort of November and late November. And obviously whole of December is the whole season. It's just shop, shop, shop.
Yeah, I think the shopping habits will really depend on so many different variables, right? If you have a partner and children, if you have a large extended family, if you have people coming from out of town to stay with you for the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the people who shop earlier probably have a lot of demand on their shopping list, not just for presents, but for food and drinks and all kinds of other things as well.
Yeah, and the next statistic that's right to the right of it says that 70% of consumers say technology has made it easier than ever to take their business elsewhere.
Yes, I love the statistics because it really is, I think, we're at the peak, coming to the peak of e-commerce now, even though it's been around for such a long time. But for example, I was reading yesterday that Forever 21 might be closing down.
No, really?
And one of the reasons is that they've seen the traffic in store drop really, really low because millennials and younger generations are shopping online.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, I think this is also showing that people just want the convenience of it, right? Even though some people, and there are some statistics on it later on about people shopping in store, the matter of fact is if you have a better experience with the brand online, you'll take it somewhere else very quickly.
Super quickly. I mean, speaking from experience, right, around this holiday season, it's such sort of shopping madness that you really want, for me, convenience wins. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this really large stream of people and getting lost and waiting in lines. Tell me what's the most convenient way to do this, right? And then you're very quick in moving your decision from one shop to the other.
Yeah, and I think connected to the stats as well is and they talk about this on the report, is the use of Messenger for customer
Right.
support. I think it becomes even more important to have that incorporated in your strategy, because if somebody is having a problem with the cart online, with
Right.
the website, and you don't have somebody there to support them in the shopping experience right away, chances are they will stop browsing your site and go somewhere else.
Exactly. Yeah. So really, we need to focus as marketers on optimization of that experience, from seeing your ad to transition to the landing page to the checkout.
The customer experience, right? The
needs to
whole
be
experience
pretty smooth.
has to be pretty
Yeah.
smooth.
And of course, then there's tactics, how to collect the people who don't actually convert. And there's so much that's in this report that we're going to get to. But we'd be curious to know, when do you actually start your holiday campaigns? So is it according to the Facebook's calendar, or is it a bit earlier? Do you start in November, in October?
I mean, some people may start as early as July if they're shooting catalogs or shooting campaigns where they are producing photo content or video content, right? It has to be way ahead, because before the campaign comes out, you need to have all the photos.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Christmas in July.
Yeah, so let me just quickly scan for the comment section. People just joining in, saying hello. Hi, everyone. And Gilson, thanks for joining, and really sweet of you to say that our live content has helped your consulting company 1,000% in improvements
that's
in
awesome.
Brazil. Really awesome to hear, and big hug back to you. All right, let's dive back into the report. So they give us the dates of what to...
When do you start your Christmas planning?
Yeah.
Yes, not the campaign, but the planning. When do
planning,
you start
yeah.
producing the content, copywriting, taking pictures, planning your website, because some people changed the layout, preparing for customer support, all of the volume of visitors to your site. Let us know.
Right. So the next step in the report that they give us is this sort of how you should go about it. So there's 4 phases to this process according to Facebook.
So what page are you on now?
Let me just quickly check the page number. And for those watching us live, the reason why we're looking to one side of the screen is because we have our screen that shows the report. But yeah, so the phases. So there's 4 phases on page 11 of the report. Phase 1, it's prepare, which is
Planning.
Phase 2, build momentum, awareness, drive engagement, look for brand recall. Phase 3, that's the key one.
Maximize sales.
That's when you start
That's
really,
the peak of the holiday.
like if you're not succeeding here, you're not going to see the ROI
Yeah.
later.
Yes.
This is where everything
If you're not
matters.
seeing good results by now, then yes.
And then the phase 4 is, what do you do after? So you still have inventory, you still want to maximize on the potential of people.
You do your sales, right? Your promotions, your
Yep.
end of line, end of stock. But you also collect all the data that you need, right?
Yeah,
That's when
yeah.
you start understanding what worked
Yes.
or didn't work.
This is, you're right, yeah. This is the measurement part.
Yes, yes. For some people, it's the dreadful part, but for some people, it's the exciting part.
Well, for us, coming from Social Bakers, like, its measurement is just such a core thing of everything that you do on as a marketer, and that's one thing that I was hoping to see more in the report is measurement, because across all these points, there's like the attribution of your efforts and being
Yes.
able to understand the journeys and where the drop-off points are is just so critical.
Yes.
But let's dive deeper into this specific phases, I think, and talk about the points there. So the preparation phase, it's where you got to spend a lot of time, because the effort that you do here is going to pay off later, and you're not going to be in panic mode when the days come, and really you're going to see a return of all the time that you've spent here later. And there's a lot you can do to plan better.
I mean,
Any
the
campaign.
planning part is very crucial, right? I think one of the things that people should definitely be concerned about here is the benchmarking of your previous Christmas campaign,
You're right.
right?
Yeah.
So looking back at 2018's results, what worked, what didn't work, what media formats did you use? How much budget did you spend? Where did it go? Where did you get return from? So looking at all the data from your previous campaign, for me, will be the most crucial step.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You start at benchmarking, and then Facebook says you start paying attention to really important things like is your content ready for mobile? Because
yes, I love this tip because they're saying think mobile first, right?
Yeah.
And if we look back at what has happened with the evolution of stories, Instagram stories, in just 12 months, how many more ads are we seeing now? Mm-hmm. How many of those ads are retail? Right? People selling clothes, watches, shoes. Instagram has really become the platform for retail ads.
Yeah, it really has.
So
yeah.
if you're not prepared for mobile ads, but also for Instagram,
yeah,
think about it again.
And Instagram also, especially like not just Instagram, the stories format specifically is just so good for sort of awareness of new products, of your entire product lineup. Like what you don't need to, let's say, drive any action just yet, but early in campaigns, early like October, I guess, you start showing what you have available. You start sort of planting
the
seed.
seeds.
Yeah, and when people really start actually making purchase decisions later on, they will recall the product. Your goal is that the people recall the products that you show them. Yeah.
They also talk about Partner Up here, and I think for retailers, it is also probably the biggest opportunity for them to work with influencers. Right? So finding the right influencers, finding the right people to partner up with you on campaigns, instead of just doing direct ads. Having influencer marketing as part of your strategy will probably be a must.
When would you say you want to start working with or looking for influencers for holiday campaigns? Because I imagine brands are like picking these influencers. They're I suppose if you come late to the party, there's barely any influencers you can partner
Well, I
with
think
for
if you have your campaign ready on paper, right? If you know what's going to be the direction of your campaign, then you could start also selecting the influencers right there and then. Because you're going to know the language, your audience, what is the message, and based on that, you're going to select the influencers to work with.
Yeah.
So right on this phase here, June to August.
To make the life a little bit easier for you listening and watching, we have a free tool available that lets you see a couple of influencers for your industry. And of course, if you want to try the full platform, you can search millions of influencers, any vertical that you're in, and it's really easy to find the ones that you should partner with for the holidays. We'll share the tool in the comments.
Yeah, it's definitely worthwhile checking out the free tool because you can find out so much information about the influencers, right?
Yeah.
Which will help you select the right people for your campaign. So.
All right. A little bit sort of back to mobile a bit. I hope we can also share some of the data points that we have in our trends report that we just released some 2 weeks ago as well. And it shows just to drive that point home that you really need to focus on mobile. So in our report that we'll share the link as well to the report, we've seen that 95% of impressions happen on mobile devices. The rest are on desktop.
That's a very high number.
It's big. Yeah.
I mean, you and I were both talking in the previous podcast about how we make purchases, right? And we both agreed that we start with the search on mobile and finish it on desktop. And I think that might be interesting for retailers to measure during the Christmas as well, is how many of your sales began on a mobile and ended up on a desktop, right? Attributing and following up on the customer experience.
Exactly.
Is the person, and the importance here is, if your website does not translate well to mobile, you're going to lose customers.
You're absolutely right. Exactly. And even there's the next slide in the same report to back up your point. It shows that the CTR rate, if you look by placements, so if you're comparing like Instagram placements next to Facebook placements, the CTR is still by far the best on the
Yes.
Facebook newsfeed on desktop. So yeah, you have to be able you have to be really smart about your journeys, and from mobile to desktop, and from mobile to in-store purchases, which is, by the way, the in-store purchases is like a huge thing in this report from Facebook.
Yes. So we're looking at the stats on page 14.
So yeah, right now the stats on page 14. So think mobile first. Facebook says so. Mobile holiday shopping has increased globally year on year by 22%, and probably will increase. It's definitely not going to slow down.
And the thing is, I think it's important for us to remember that in places like the UK, US, Europe, people now have amazing mobiles, right?
Yeah.
If we look at Samsung and other brands that have released, Apple just came out with iPhone 11 this week. So the mobile experience is improving for everyone because the mobiles are improving. But this is also important for developing countries where a lot of people are getting access to the internet now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are changing their behaviors in regards to shopping. So for marketers in those regions, it's important to think about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about it. Mobile is just becoming a little desktop, essentially. Yeah. A little bit further in the preparation section, they speak about your audience.
Yes.
It's like sort of page 16 to 17, and how to create lookalike audience, and what you should be really after. For us, audience is critical. Like at Social Bakers, it's
We
really,
talk about audience first always, right?
yeah, it's where as a content marketer, for me, like, and you're a content marketer as well yourself. Audience is where it begins. Like, no matter what you're really doing.
That's
whether
your
it's-
first point.
Yeah, and
It's not your clothes, it's not your brand, it's not your message, it's not your logo. It's who are you talking and trying to sell to?
exactly. Yeah, and you should you should get your personas, like, literally sort of carefully crafted based on actual data that's reliable and that will actually help you create the content for that specific persona.
And this data can come from various sources, right?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about lookalike audiences, this is very important with the benchmarking. Who did you target last year?
Yeah.
How accurate was it? How efficient was it? What was your ROI on those audiences? What do you need to change? What
Exactly.
happened in 1 year that might change the way you target those people?
Yeah, and how do you think? Do you know how your personas will be different this year compared to the previous one? Did the influencers they follow change?
Yes.
Did they use of mobile devices change? Do they maybe as people as well grow older, their life sort of priorities change
Yeah.
as well, and they move up different in their organizational ladder as well. So how much do you really know about your audience?
So we also have a great tool at Social Bakers that helps marketers with this. And our tool gets data from your Google Analytics and from your Facebook audience and gives you personas. Gender, age, location, brand affinity with other brands.
Yeah.
So this is one of the great ways you can really have a lot of insight about who your audience is.
Yeah, and we're also going to share a free persona template that you can use to quickly write down all this data that you can get in our platform, and just quickly chart out the personas that will help you target the right people and reach them with the right message, right content. All right, let's move to the next section, which is build momentum. That's the second phase. So it's sort of, top of the funnel marketing. So it's like and it needs to start early. The top of the funnel marketing begins really early. So if we go back to the report, I think it's page 21, yeah, where you start talking about different strategies on how to gain brand recognition, how to sort of, like we said earlier, place those seeds early.
Yes.
And make sure that there's brand recall as well.
Yes, share of mind, right? So what kinds of ads and content would you be creating at this point? How much of it is going to be on Instagram? How much is going to be on Facebook in this case?
So that's one of the questions from the audience is actually, so tips for stories for holiday campaigns. What should you do with stories? And I think a lot of the stories content fits really well into this part of
On building the momentum.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. And especially, like we said, product discovery, like planting the seeds early and showcasing your lineup of things that you have to offer. Also looking for sort of early feedback of what's actually
Yes.
resonating. When you're really going to have to drive those campaigns like home and actually drive ROI from them. This stage will help identify which way to point your money.
Yes. And I think by now, with building the momentum, what you should master here in this moment is, are you targeting the right people in the right way, with the right frequency, right? So by now, let's say you are a fashion retailer, and you've been doing Instagram stories and ads all year long. By now, you should know really well where you should be targeting.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to waste any money moving forward from this stage. You must have your audience really locked down. And I think when it comes to share of mind or brand recall, frequency is key.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that people see you more often than not.
Yeah.
Because on stories and on the ads, what you want is somebody to, oh, this is a cool brand or this is a cool product, to buy a month from now.
Yeah, there you got it right. Do you mind if we answer a question from the audience?
Go for it.
So, João joining us on LinkedIn. João, sorry. Thanks for correcting me. Apologies for butchering your name. So his question, any tips on building personas before opening a business with no previous data available?
Sure. Go to your competitors' social media, see who their audience is. Obviously, if they have a lot of fans and followers, you're not going to be able to draw that many accurate conclusions. But look at the people who are on those pages. What are their ages? Where are they from? What language do they speak?
Right.
Look at their ads. Look at your competitors' ads.
Yeah, that's such a...
What is the language? What is the tone of voice? You will get it from there.
Really good point. And you can really... Nowadays, it's pretty easy to monitor your competitors' content, sort of side-by-side, pick some 10 competitors and daily check in to see what are they posting and what's working for them.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to sort of chase them a bit, but maybe even be smarter than them in some ways. That, of course, is a bit tricky to do if you need to plan for your first holiday campaign.
Sure.
But I would say
But here's the thing. If you open a business, you're trying to fill a gap in the market, right? You're trying to fulfill something that another company is not doing or is not doing that well.
Right.
And behind that, there's a need or a want.
Yeah.
And if you are launching a product, a website, a shopping, a store, you need to know what that need and want is and who has them. Right? So who are you doing it for?
Yeah.
And that's should be the whole reason of being of your company, is who are you serving?
Yeah. What are their needs? What's really driving them?
Exactly.
And yeah, it's tricky to get data at first, but it is doable. Another recommendation would be you can gain an advantage by starting earlier.
Yes.
And start running campaigns before others and see.
So you can create a lookalike audience that's solid.
Exactly. Spend some time already figuring out, make some mistakes early. So
Yes.
if you're completely new, test out things. You're going to find what's really converting, what's not. And actually, you're going to have to spend some money in the beginning. So if you really want to accelerate this process of finding out who your audience is, you got to pay to buy the ads. And when that audience feedback kind of comes back to you, you can already plan a little bit better.
Yes. One of the things that I would have liked to see on this report that we didn't see is some data on feedback for ads on Facebook and Instagram. You know, when you see an ad too often and you go and click and say, I don't want to see this ad anymore.
Right.
And they ask you, why not?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen some data on this, because I think this is a great way for brands to learn what's not working and what's working for them.
Yeah, the more feedback you can get, really, the better. Right. So one thing that Facebook says in this report about this stage of building momentum. So how can you know if you're succeeding in this area is engagement, and more engagement essentially predicts that there's going to be more brand recall later in the critical stage of trying to convert people to customers. So engagement, lead indicator for whether you're succeeding when you're building awareness, of course.
Yes, but also on Instagram, I think the amount of swipe ups and website visits from your ads and from your stories is a really, really important metric.
Yeah.
I myself, for example, I love shopping online. I often, when I see ads on my Instagram for clothes, I will go to the shop.
Right.
I will browse the shop, and I'll make a purchase decision 2 or 3 times after I see the same ad.
Yeah.
So website visit from stories and from ads, very important.
Yeah. Another thing on the 24th page of the report that's important to pay attention to, and we already mentioned it time and time again, is Instagram and the growing importance of Instagram. So if you look at 217, some 39% of people said Instagram impacted their Christmas purchasing decisions, and 218 we have 45%. So it's obviously growing, and 219 is going to be even more.
And I think this number is actually very shy, because I think this is a statistic that is a combination of all industries. But I suspect that for retail, online retail, this is much higher.
Yeah. And they have another stat, which is sort of anecdotal. 130 million people click on a shopping story every month. So of course that's not just holiday seasons.
No, not at all.
It's a lot. I'd be curious to see that stat for the holidays. All right, let's go into the section that maybe actually requires the most conversation, and that is the maximizing sales. That's the third phase. And in the report, that is begins at page 27. So that's November to December. That's when you're really driving your
That's
purchases.
when everybody is going crazy.
Yeah, and that's when you're really starting to see ROI and all the work that you've been doing. or not, and you can start looking for your next job. So a couple of things that Facebook says you need to do. So the first one being inventory. So they have some recommendations of how to set up the platform or your ads parameters in a way that you are more likely to succeed.
Yes.
A couple of recommendations from them. Well, in general, it's kind of very similar across the board. They say when it comes to placements, leave it up to the Facebook platform. Our AI will figure it out better, better than you will. Leave it up to us. You're going to get better ROI. They're also saying that campaign budget should be left again to the platform, of course.
Yes.
Because
as we were discussing before, this is the time of year when there's a lot of bidding, right? People are competing for space.
Yeah.
So everything's going to be a bit more expensive, and if you don't have everything very clear, your bidding, your budget, your targeting, then this is where you're going to lose.
And you're right. Like that's actually something that they say is that expect the bids to go up, and they even recommend, I think I don't know if it's the next page, it's maybe a little bit later. Yeah, page 32. They recommend that set minimum ROAS at least 25% below historical average, because the holiday season it's a volumes game.
Yes, it is a volumes game.
Yeah, so try to measure how much you can reduce sort of the profit, but still come out on the positive end, and let Facebook know like what you're okay with is what they're saying. It's going to help you drive more sales.
And if we look back at the beginning here, when on page 28, they're talking about under delivery, right? And I think this is really important in the sense that connecting to the statistics we saw earlier about people having a bad experience and going to a competitor very quickly, if you don't have your inventory on point and somebody buys something from you and you cannot deliver, forget about it. That person will never buy from you anymore.
Yeah. That's one point that Facebook makes very early in the report. That's actually in the planning section. Is that really get your Facebook catalog in order and get all the items and prices really figured out, so that there's no confusion when you get to this point of running their ads and you're seeing that all of a sudden there's an error. And
or somebody
losing
announces something like it's happened to me, where you see an ad for a piece of item of clothing and you get very excited about it. You click swipe up, you go to the website. When you get there, it's out of stock.
So
So a
something like
disconnect
that.
with the logistics and the social part of it.
Or like price isn't right sometimes,
Yeah.
things like that, or the discount isn't there, and those sort of things need to be working smoothly by the time you're in this stage.
Again, the customer experience has to be spot on.
Yeah. So lowest cost bidding. Let me just turn the page. Then there's targeting, which is critical. So again, when it comes to targeting and budget, Facebook says, leave it up to us. So open the audiences, sort of leave them broad. And the reason why you want to do it is because holidays are a season when you have a really big chance of attracting people who weren't your customers and have them purchase your product for the first time. So you don't want to limit it maybe just to your custom audiences that are built on rather, you don't want to be marketing just to the people who are your customers.
Exactly. I would actually recommend, depending on the size of your marketing team or your social media team and the capabilities you have within the company, if I could recommend that you hire somebody who's really good at targeting, a specialist in Facebook and Instagram targeting. I think it's so crucial, and so many marketers get it wrong. And when you get it wrong, you may turn people off your brand.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I am often targeted on Facebook for baby stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have any children, but I am at an age range that women have kids. They're wasting their money on me. They didn't do their research. There's no affinity to other brands. It's a waste of money. It's money going down the drain. You never see it again.
Yeah, and then the Facebook algorithm is pretty good at figuring
It
out
is,
quite
it
quickly
is.
what
Especially
what
compared to what we used to do in agencies even 5 years ago.
Yeah. But again, let's bring it back to the personas. That's
Yes.
usually your
Who is your audience?
when you go to the targeting phase, like it shouldn't be like you arrive to this point and you don't know. you should
I
have
have no
everything.
clue who I should be advertising.
Okay,
or
yeah, we
talking
have
to.
the content, we're ready. Now let's figure out the targeting, and it's like, I don't know. No, that's not how the process should be. If you've done your prep work, you know exactly what the targeting parameters should look like.
Yes.
And again, the Social Bakers Persona tool will tell you what your targeting parameters should be, actually. A couple of tips from them. Use value-based lookalikes. So they're saying don't go for vanity metrics in this section, but rather work off your pixel events. So obviously purchases that are happening across your web properties, and off your offline conversions, which is becoming easier and easier to track. So actually what people do in your store, and Facebook can easily link it back to their system, and it's really, I imagine, convenient for especially retail brands.
I think a really good tip for targeting as well is look at, if you have this data, right? And you should, but who were the people who made purchases from you Christmas last year?
Yeah.
Do you have data on them? Age, location.
You're right.
Look at the historical data of your audience, and then try to duplicate that, taking into considerations any important changes in your industry during the year. Right? But just look back. Who were they? How did you target them? And then go from there.
Yeah. Anything else from this section that we should mention? Well, I just have a note on my notebook. Just let us do it, Facebook says. Yeah. In general,
Yeah, leave it to them.
One thing that isn't mentioned in the report, and it's just so important in this section, is here you need to have a super clear overview of what's happening. Like if at this point you haven't planned of how am I going to see if my efforts are actually bringing results, it's going to become messy. And you're all of a sudden going to see a lot of money being spent, and you're not going to know, is this actually working properly? Is the budget in one region being spent better than in another region?
And I think this is what this time of the year makes it very challenging for social media marketers, because at this point, depending on how many ads or stories or content highlights you're running, you're going to have to be doing measurement and adjustment on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
Depending on the volume, obviously, but if you're doing measurement and analysis on an hourly basis, chances are you're not going to waste money in the long run. You're going to learn very fast what's working and adjust.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're maybe in a position where you're not doing the ads yourself, let's say you're not a campaign manager and you're sitting on top of the budget, and you have to see a sort of oversight of how the efforts are, what's going to be the ROI here. Well, you need to have a bigger overview over each account. If you have hundreds of accounts, if you're marketing in different regions, you need to have clarity of that.
That's true. If you have a large portfolio of brands or a large portfolio of products, right, and you're running different ads for each of them, then you need to have an overview of what's happening, almost like just a strategic overview of where your money is going and the return on it.
Yeah, and on the agency side too, right?
Yes.
If you're working with agencies, then it's really fair to ask the agency to give you access to this overview of what's actually happening, and let you connect the ad accounts and see them in the same system where you're measuring everything else. That's really easy to do actually with the Social Bakers platform. So if you want to give it a try, connect, sign up, and you can easily build a sort of one overview of your advertising efforts, and I guarantee it's going to be useful during the holiday campaigns.
Have complete control of your budget and analysis this holiday season. Get clear overviews, unify all your ads data, and gain full transparency of your budget. All in one unified marketing platform from Social Bakers.
So we have a question from the audience. Let me just quickly read into it. Melania, thanks for joining us. Her question, she's been looking for a sales rep in Mexico City. Couldn't find anyone. Yeah, we can easily help, of course. Our salespeople are listening to this video. I hope they're jumping.
If you're online, get in touch with her.
They're jumping on the call right now. So thanks a lot for joining and watching. All right, so last phase that Facebook goes into, and let me give you an exact page number. Daniela, do you have it?
And by the way, there's lots of really good templates here. I highly recommend. This is a really good piece of content from Facebook.
Yeah. So phase 4, January. So after all the Christmas madness, 43 page number. What you want to do. So what do you want to keep doing? Facebook says, keep your campaigns on. They say, yeah, keep them running.
Well, I mean, and this is going to depend on what you're selling, right? If you are a retailer and you have loads of product left over that didn't sell, this is your chance to get rid of it. Sell everything on promotions. Make sure you give big discounts to get rid of your inventory.
Yeah.
But the most important part of post-Christmas sales is measurement, reporting, and transparency.
Exactly. Like connecting the dots of what has happened, and you have a bit of time to sort of maybe where the dots aren't connecting to actually fix it and find find ways to connect your all multiple ad accounts, connect the spend between regions, and try to see holistically. How did this campaign perform? Did we overspend somewhere?
What were the learnings, right? Sit down with your team, figure out what worked, what didn't work, what went wrong, why it went wrong, and learnings for next year.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, learnings for next year. But Facebook says there's still some campaigns that you should be running. So keep campaigns on, they say, and especially focus on related products. So what if you know that if someone bought, let's say, this household item, it's really likely that they will also purchase
Yes.
this item. So start promoting such items and give the sales offers on such items.
Well, and the good news is if your campaigns went well, you now have great lookalike audiences. You know your audience a lot better. You have data on new customers, and you can start remarketing.
Yeah, you're right. Remarketing, a huge part of, and mentioned it in the report, but a huge part of holiday campaigning. There's some sort of key insights they share in the report in the very end of it that I thought were really curious.
What page is that?
So this is page 46, and they actually share the conversion data visible to Facebook during the 2018 holiday season. So they're saying, like, look, this is how long people still keep purchasing items, and it shows the entire year. But to describe the charts for people listening, so essentially most of the year is sort of your flatlands, and then around the Christmas is just the chart just peaks. It goes through the roof. On Black Friday is the high point. Cyber Monday, it's the second highest point, but critically, what we mentioned earlier, last shipping day is
The 14th
huge.
of December,
Yeah.
also a huge date, yes.
Yeah, and after January, yeah, it looks like it's still, like there's still quite a bit of purchasing happening. So maybe Facebook is onto something. You should.
No, I think this is very much a consumer behavior, right? So if we think about families who don't celebrate the Christmas because of their religious beliefs, will take advantage of lower prices after Christmas,
Yeah.
right? They don't
Yeah.
exchange gifts, so they don't care about that time of the year. They're buying after Christmas. I also buy a lot of things after Christmas because it's cheaper. I don't have to have it by Christmas. And it's the people who are the penny pinchers, right?
Yeah.
You're looking for a promotion, a good deal, so you keep shopping until January.
You're so right. I haven't considered this point. There's more questions coming in. So thanks for asking, Mohammed, and thanks for joining us on LinkedIn. So his point, all the people will search for a discount if my store in a good location and I don't have online payment. How can I measure the ROI of an online campaign? So if your online payments aren't set up.
So this is trying to attribute online advertisement with in-store purchase, right?
Yeah, it's a challenge for
Simplest way to do this is to give out a discount code on your online ad and ask that person to use that code in store. You will know exactly which ad it came from.
Super clear, answered. Regarding these sort of benchmarks that Facebook gives on page 46 of the report, we actually have this in Social Baker's platform, and
Yes.
not everyone knows about it. We have access to these benchmarks that are up to date. They're actually daily, and you can see how your CTR is evolving in relation to your industry and also your region, and you can compare reach as well.
Yes,
engagement.
you can compare it with various very important metrics by industry, by region, and you can also look at your competition.
Yeah, and one thing that it does, it tells you if you actually really are overspending during the holidays. So if you see that, you're in a lower percentile, if you're spending 90% more than the rest of your industry, then there's something not working here. Yeah. Well, unless you're getting the ROI back as well. So who knows? Right. We covered a lot.
Yes, it feels like it.
Yeah, it's a long report. Really encourage everyone to download it.
I think it's a great report, actually. It does have a lot of really helpful tips, regardless of your industry. It has a lot of good statistics for you to actually go, if you're working, if you need to ask for a budget, if you need to ask somebody for permission to invest more, showing some of these statistics from the report will help you with that as well.
Yeah, we shared also a lot of resources during this broadcast. So we had the the social media trends report from us that we also you should download, and it gives you additional, it's more granular data on
It's
page.
not just Facebook either.
Yeah, so we have the personas tool that will help you in the planning stage,
The influencer tool.
the influencer tool that will help you find influencers, anything else, the inspiration tool. So we have a free tool that anyone can try, and if you're not sure what content to create, you can just search by keyword.
Yes, it's an amazing tool actually. You can look at what content is working around the world, right? By hashtag, by topic, by region, and you can figure out or get inspiration to do your own content. You know, if you're not sure which direction to take, if you're not sure what kind of content is working, use that tool. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need like in a planning stage also like just a mood board. It doesn't need to be.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's another use case for this tool. Something else that we missed, the benchmarks, really useful to use during
Paid
the campaign.
overview.
Yeah, paid overview as well. All the things we left links to. We'll leave them in the description of the podcast as well, and you can try them. So the questions that we didn't answer during this live video, we'll dive in and answer after this is over.
Because our time is up.
Yeah, we've been speaking for a long time, so we don't want to exhaust you and bore you to death. But
So we will answer them on the comment section.
we will definitely later after this video.
Great.
So thanks everyone for joining.
Yes, thank you. And happy planning.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I'm looking forward to holiday campaigns.
Me too.
It's
Share
an
with
exciting
us
season.
your ideas and what you're going to be doing as well. We'll be looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and definitely send us, if you did something really cool, just DM us. We'd really love to see it. We'll share with our audience. Yeah, it'd be cool to see.
Yes, happy planning and good luck with your Christmas campaigns.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.